What's going on, everybody? This is Chris Shelzy, and today I want to talk about a lot of people's favorite topic, drinking, right? So the first thing I want to point out is that you shouldn't have to see going out and drinking as you cheating on your diet or going off your diet. There's a smart way to go out with your friends, have a few drinks, and have fun. And with just a little bit of prep and some tricks, you can very much limit a lot of the downsides. And so that's what I'm going to go over today. And my one caveat is that if you're going out drinking 5 nights a week, getting wasted, then it's going to be hard to stay healthy regardless of, what else you're doing. But if you want to go out with your friends on the weekends, like most people, have a couple drinks without worrying about setting yourself back, waking up feeling like crap, or gaining some lovely love handles, then this guide's for you. And I want to preface this by saying I don't drink a lot, but when I do, this is the protocol that I follow, and it works great for me. So that's what I'm going to go over today. And if you miss anything, don't worry about it, because I've attached a quick one-page reference guide below this video that summarizes all this, so you can get my recommendations on what to drink and how to avoid hangovers. And I'll talk more about that at the end, but if you stick around, you can grab it then or just grab it now. So the goal for all of this is obviously to drink the good stuff, avoid the bad stuff, have fun, wake up happy, look good naked. I think everyone's on board with that, right? So first I want to go over why drinking makes people fat. And there's really 3 main things. So the first one is sugar. And when you consume sugar, your body has to transport it out of your bloodstream, because when you have a high enough level of sugar in your bloodstream, it's toxic. So your body has to store it somewhere. And there's really only 2 places for it to store if it's not being immediately burned up as fuel. The first place is in muscle tissue in the form of glycogen, and there's a very limited amount of sugar that can be stored in your muscles. And the second place is storing it in your fat cells. And you have infinite, basically, amount of fat cells. You can, as soon as you fill up your muscles, it's just constantly being pumped into your fat cells where it's not being used as fuel. So when you eat sugar, your body releases insulin, which is a hormone that's basically like the bus driver that goes around and picks up sugar and drops it off where it needs to go. So first it'll go to the muscles and be like, yo, you need any sugar? And if it's like, nah, man, we're full up, then it'll be like, okay, go to the fat cells, go to the fat cells, go to the fat cells. So the more excess sugar you consume, the more sugar that's going to be shuttled into your fat cells, and you basically have no limit on that. So we want to limit sugars, because sugar can also suppress your immune system, which can make you sick, get a cold, feel terrible, not good, and it can also cause when you have a lot of sugar, causes fluctuations in your blood sugar, which can be when you have that spiking and dropping, that's a big contributing factor to hangovers. So the moral of the story is avoid sugar as much as possible when you're drinking, and all the other time as well. So the next piece of alcohol that makes people fat is the estrogens. So estrogen is known as the female sex hormone, but both men and women have estrogen, and they both need estrogen, but it has to be in the right balance. And so particularly in beers, or more specifically the hops that are in beers, so hops add bitterness and act as a preservative in beer, but they're also really high in phytoestrogens, which are basically plant-derived estrogens. And so a drink like an ultra hoppy IPA or something like that is going to have a lot of estrogen, and even more so than soy or soy milk and things like that. And I don't know if anybody heard about this, but a couple of years ago, Jeremy Piven, the guy who plays Ari Gold in Entourage, he started developing breasts because of all the soy milk he was drinking, and he came out against it to warn people. And that was with soy milk. Hops have a lot more phytoestrogen than soy does, so that's something you want to be careful of. And a lot of research shows that estrogen has high levels of estrogen in women can cause breast cancer and things like that. And for men, it can kill your sperm count, cause depression, low sex drive, and man boobs. So I don't think anybody wants any of those things, right? So we're going to avoid estrogens as well. And the final thing that I want to go over is mold and toxins. So alcohol, like any massively produced product, is going to have higher and lower quality brands. And generally, the cheaper you go, the lower quality you're going to get as well. And things like molds, toxins, artificial colors, flavors, sweeteners, and things like that can just take a night of drinking and give you a terrible hangover. Not good. And this also makes it harder on your body and your kidneys and your livers. That liver, I don't think you have multiple livers. when you're trying to process the alcohol and then you're throwing all of these other artificial toxins and flavorings and things like that on top of it, makes it really hard on your body. So we want to avoid that as well. And we're going to go over kind of the best stuff to drink, the worst stuff to drink, and how to eliminate hangovers. So we're going to get into that right now. A lot of this stuff, as I said, can easily be avoided. We're going to go over that. So this is broken down into 3 parts. We got the pregame, then while you're drinking, and then after you're drinking. So before you go out drinking, about an hour and a half or an hour to 2 hours before you go out, you want to have some high-fat foods. So that could be things like avocado, coconut oil, or my favorite, olive oil. And the reason you want to do this is basically having the fat is for 2 reasons. One, it keeps you full, so you don't eat a ton of bar snacks like pizza and pretzels or whatever other crap you can find. But more importantly, the fat helps stabilize your blood sugar and slow the absorption of any sugars that you're consuming. So you're not causing your blood sugar to go berserk and things like that, which we already talked about. So this is a key step in helping to prevent hangovers, and you can do it even before you go out drinking. So, with the oils, maybe 2 to 3 tablespoons. I love olive oil. That's my favorite, so that's generally what I go with. But even if you're having like salad before, just drizzle this on avocado, things like that. Next, having like a teaspoon of Himalayan sea salt in your water. And you want to do that because, alcohol, as you know, makes you pee because it wants to flush the alcohol out of your body. So sea salt helps balance the electrolytes in your body to help prevent hangovers. It also gives you a good dose of micronutrients, which will help make things easier on your adrenal glands so your body's not so stressed out. And the salt also helps your body retain some water so you don't get severely dehydrated, which is obviously another factor in hangovers. So that's the pregame. While you're actually drinking, let's go over what to drink. So you want to have clear alcohols. These are really the best things you can have when you're drinking. So vodka, gin, tequila, because they're distilled and they're often filtered through charcoal filters and things like that. So they're pretty pure. So the body just has to process alcohol and not a lot of other additives and things like that. So stick with clear alcohols. To have in moderation, if you really like ciders and wines and things like that, go for it. But if you're going to, err on the drier side of things, so drier ciders, drier wines, which have less sugar, so like a dry white wine or a dry red wine over a white wine would be the better choice. And wines are often unfiltered, so they can have mold and toxins and things like that in them. But obviously, cider and wine is delicious. So if you're going to have them, just don't rely on them as like the main go-to drink because of all those things. And then you want to avoid beers, things like that. Of all the things that I talk about, this is the one I get the most pushback on from people because beer and microbrews are very cool and trendy nowadays. And I've seen the documentary How Beer Saved the World, but regardless, I stick to this recommendation. As I mentioned earlier, phytoestrogens are found in beers, and they can cause a lot of problems. And guys, I haven't heard many girls commenting on how turned on they are by a guy with man boobs and low sex drive. So let's stay away from that stuff. If you're going to drink beer, at least be conscious of what it could be doing to your body. And if you need to size up your bra, don't say I didn't warn you. So also wanting to avoid sugary drinks, which we already went over. Anything that looks like it should be a neon sign in Las Vegas probably shouldn't go in your body. I think that's a simple enough recommendation and easy enough to avoid. And a supplement that you can be taking while you're drinking would be vitamin C, which is always good. Vitamin C helps block the conversion of alcohol into aldehyde, which is aldehyde's a metabolite that causes hangovers, and it can also cause aging and wrinkles and things like that. So if you have like 500 milligrams per drink, 500 milligrams of vitamin C per every drink you're having, can be great. Vitamin C also helps the body manufacture glutathione, which is a super powerful antioxidant that again will help limit the damage to your body. And so don't mix your drinks. So you see this is 8 ounces of just 100% orange juice. In 8 ounces, that's like a small drink, has 22 grams of sugar in it. So basically 8 ounces of orange juice has 6 packets of sugar, just straight up sugar in it, which is a lot. And so that means if you're having just a couple of screwdrivers, you could easily go over 100 grams of sugar. And as we already talked about, suppresses your immune system, causes spikes in your blood sugar, triggers your body to store fat, and can also cause hangovers. So limit that stuff. And also drink, a glass of water in between every drink. I think that's pretty common knowledge, but it can go a long way in preventing you from getting dehydrated and helping dilute the alcohol so it's not putting as much stress on your body. Your body can filter it out easier. So the final part 3, what to do after you go out drinking. Again, simple enough. Water. The water helps filter the alcohol and the toxins, and you can also mix that with sea salt, which helps keep the electrolyte balance in your body in a good range and prevents you from getting really dehydrated. The next thing would be activated charcoal. So this is something you can pick up in basically any drugstore or Whole Foods or something like that. It's pretty easy to find. Activated charcoal binds to toxins, and this was actually something I was trained to administer as an EMT because, and you would use it on like poison victims because it binds to toxins and help flush them out of your system and limit their damage. So this is basically like the cleanup crew that you can have after you go out drinking to get rid of all the excess junk you may have consumed. And lastly, you could have things like broccoli or cauliflower. So these belong to a family of vegetables called cruciferous vegetables that help rid your system of excess estrogen. So, you could even have like a broccoli omelet in the morning or just steam it, throw some sea salt and butter on it and eat that, and that'd be great. And finally, my drink of choice. So if you just want one thing to have without having to really remember anything that I just said, have this. So gin and soda water with lime. And there's a reason for each of these elements. So one, the gin. The gin's a clear alcohol. It's gluten and starch free, so you don't have to worry about any extra sugars or estrogens or toxins like we talked about wanting to avoid. The next step, the lime. The fructose in the lime helps blunt the insulin response of alcohol, so that helps stabilize your blood sugar while you're drinking. And then lastly, the soda water. So the carbon dioxide in the bubbles helps to deliver the ethanol of the alcohol to your bloodstream quicker, which helps you drink less with the same effect. So you can get buzzed quicker without drinking as much alcohol and paying for it. So to recap, this is like the one slider. Before you go out, have a high-fat meal, have some sea salt. While you're drinking, have clear alcohol, vitamin C, and some water, vitamin C and water per every drink of alcohol you're having. And then afterwards, have some activated charcoal and a broccoli omelet. So that's easy enough. Yeah, and again, if you want a simple one-page guide on all this, you can grab a copy of it below this video. It lays out all the recommendations and some supplement brands for vitamin C and activated charcoal. And I hope this was helpful. If it was, share it with your most alcohol-inclined friend so they can take their drinking game to the next level. If you have any questions, let me know. If you try this out, let me know how it works for you. And happy drinking. Take care, guys.